order. 2 selectmen are present, Mike Kaminsky and myself, town administrator is present, and Leo Martell is video recording for the benefit of the public, and Linda Nickerson is gonna upload to the town website, which is very easy to access.
Right. Correct.
Alright,
Then, with
Mike, we
the,
have some meeting minutes to go
we
over.
sure do, the thing is, I'll make a motion to approve the regular minutes of April 3rd, 2025, as amended. Again, a good job was done by the, recording secretary.
I will second that motion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. Those ones.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the non-public non-public minutes of the meeting at 8:31 PM, as amended.
I'll second Mike's motion on that as well, and I'm gonna recommend that we seal these meeting minutes.
There was a discussion that we're gonna seal them.
There was on this one,
Okay.
okay? And I'll make a motion,
Did we vote on that? Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a last motion for the meeting minutes from 9:20 PM on April 3rd. And these are again, non-public meeting minutes. And again, I wanna make a motion to seal these ones. These ones we did not discuss about sealing, but in reading the meeting minutes, there's some stuff in here that I think we should, seal them for, so,
I concur,
okay.
after reading that earlier. And the thing is, that was, the first one was a no-brainer, I just, I had mental block for a minute, of course you gotta seal those.
So motion was made and seconded by Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just for the public, we're sealing the minutes. Why are we sealing minutes? Because sometimes it involves legal actions that the town may be involved in. And the thing is, we can't really discuss it in public because of the legalities of it. We don't wanna fold our hands or
Legal or personal?
legal
issue?
personal issues. And so, just, that's why we seal them. I just wanna, for the record, say that, Dave.
Yep, that sounds good. Going back to public comment, anybody here from the public, Leo, wants to say anything? Okay,
Not yet, later.
alright. Going back to town business, we've got a review and sign appointments from the town clerk. Like, you gonna do those,
Yes, I will.
appointments for us, and we'll sign them up. You do them all at once, Mike, I
Yeah.
think, 'cause they're all
Yeah,
in the
sure.
same.
I'd like to make a recommendation that we appoint George Holt and Andrea Pascondola to the Energy Committee with terms ending March 2028.
I'll
And
second Mike's motion on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And then I'd like to make another motion to recommend Ken Kerber and Raymond Plant to the Dunbarton Planning Board with term ending, there's no term ending on this one.
wasn't there more than one? I thought there were 3 on that
There are
one.
only 2 of those.
Just 2?
Yeah. Term ending March, but we didn't put a date. Should we, as an
It's,
alternate,
March 2026.
March 2026. The motion's on the floor, on the table.
Motion been made, I'll second it.
All,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
The term was, indicated in pen. For the record, the plan board meeting met last night, those 2 individuals were, on board, seemed very interested, and I look forward to their contributions.
Okay, great. Let's keep them all in that pile, I guess. Okay. The next thing on the agenda, we're gonna discuss SB 297 passage and how this will affect the municipal government. I've read through this, draft that they were sent to us to read through. And, I think that this bill is something we should oppose. Dana Lavoy also sent in an email, cause he's gonna be out of town this week. His email said, "I wish to support any and all efforts to oppose SB 297. This bill jeopardizes the system and programs that municipalities use to provide health insurance for town employees. And he would be in favor of our town contacting the state representatives to voice our opposition."
I'll give one example for the public why we oppose it.
Yeah.
we're part of a insurance group for our town employees that provide health insurance and dental insurance. And, with, part of the bill, we would be required to have a larger reserve be kept here at Dunbarton. That would be an increased tax burden on our town residents. So I think what we have works fine. I don't wanna incur any more tax burden on our residents. Am I correct, Aileen?
Yeah,
Put that-
so currently, under the agreement for health trust, they carry that liability.
Correct.
And the reason why they gave us a graph of where they typically keep that reserve dollar amount. And after COVID, they returned to surplus to all the municipalities that qualified, and it reduced their, reserve. And then the following year, during COVID, which would have been applied to the following year's rates, there were so many people going in for services that it depleted their, reserve more than the typical year. It might be $1 million, $2 million, this one year reduced it several million. So now they're in the process of building that back up, and in the course of, from 2020 to current, they have gotten it back up over $6 million. So that's their whole goal, is they carry the liability, they don't pass it on to any of the towns. And, they have insurance to protect them and us in the event something
Right.
catastrophic.
Without that, we'd be responsible for maintaining our own reserves.
A 4% minimum.
Right.
Yeah,
Because it's gonna be a short meeting, I'll bring public comment back up after we do the mailbox items. We have a letter, from Fire Safety and Solid Waste Facilities. They're gonna be held on Tuesday, July 29th, and repeated on Wednesday, July 30th, from 9:30 to 1:30. This class is a 4-hour class from experts from Recycled Materials Association, formerly known as ISRI. So. Would you see a copy of this as well?
I don't know, but I think it would be well worth
Brandon.
them. It's actually for the transfer station employees, it's
Yeah.
fire and safety for
So let's
solid
make
waste
sure that the
facilities.
transfer station has a copy of that.
Okay,
And those days are Tuesday and Wednesday, that's when they're open. We just gotta,
yeah, they can, well, we're open later on Wednesday, and then it's possible we might be able to manage 2 on one day and then another shift on the.
there's a 9:30, well, the thing is, they can do it, it's 9:30 to 1:30. Even if they open late, one day it'll be fine.
Yeah,
I just gotta, the manager figure out the best course of action for that.
Okay, the next thing, we have a letter from the State of New Hampshire Division of Fire Safety. Fire Marshal requesting town verification that we're still permissible for fireworks in the community. No changes, for Chief Scotland. And, that letter's here to read, Mike, if you want.
Okay.
But I think we'll go on his recommendation on that. The next thing on here,
Just for the public, we have a lot of newcomers in town, and if fireworks are allowed, we have no local restrictions on fireworks. The restrictions are at the state level, not at the town level here.
so basically what that is the state of New Hampshire has permissible fireworks. We have, several businesses that sell those permissible fireworks, and if you are a municipality that has not voted to not offer them in your community, then you fall under the permissible community, and therefore, if you can go to any of these businesses and buy those fireworks, those are permissible, and you can,
Use them as
use them at your
residents.
residence, yep.
okay, the next thing on the agenda, we have some benches up at the fire department, they do not want any longer, and they'd like to donate them. I think we should offer them to Mary for, some edge seating in her area, first of all, and then if they don't, I would say to maybe see if, they would like to put them in the hallway here for a little bit more comfortable bench seating.
I saw them.
By the town,
It's hard to tell from a picture,
they have pretty nice shape, Mike.
Yeah.
I've been up
Those
there
are in
before
color,
some
but
meetings.
they do look like they're in nice shape.
One's red, I think, and one's black.
I have no issues, I concur with that consensus.
Check with
Okay.
library first, and then,
Yeah, I would check with her to see if she has some room, and if worse comes to worse, we could put them as perimeter seating at the town hall second floor
I
level.
mean, that would, there isn't, I don't think there's enough seating up there,
Right,
but.
That would be
but let's try these areas first, and then if that doesn't work, we'll go right to that. You good with that,
Yeah,
Mike?
I'm concur completely.
But definitely they're nicely made oak bench seats with cushions. I don't wanna put them here, cause people will be fighting for it.
Put one right here.
There you go.
We wanna review the draft warrant article, the next item on the agenda, item D, municipal building capital reserve fund. We'd like to rename that fund for future years as part of a, warrant article. And, the town attorney recommend renaming, the building repair CRF. There's no contributions, there's only a small balance in there, 3183 as of 3/31/25 in the March statement. So this here would be a municipal building capital reserve fund, which I suggested, we should try and do, so that if we do a future building, we're not caught off guard, kind of like we were with the land, and it will be separate from the land capital reserve fund. So we'll always have a land fund, and this will be a future update of any, municipal office building, or any buildings really, it could be a new
Could be the transfer station.
transfer station, it could be a new,
Yeah, the repair kind of restriction to repairs, not new.
yeah, it could be a new highway department, it could be a new safety complex with police and fire, but it'll start funding that, because we all know in some year in the future, you're gonna need something here.
Concur.
So, whether it's 10 years
So
or
they'll go to
20
the
years.
voters next March?
Yeah,
That has to go, and I.
and that'll just be to rename it, and the funding we'll do on regular
Right.
warrant articles.
Yep, yep. Just wanted to also point out that on the, trust funds accounts, there's the theater restoration project, is $553.98.
Yeah.
The board should probably consider, liquidating that and just putting it
That
into
could
the
be
general
seed money
fund.
for the new fund.
We
Yeah.
could, the only thing is, I think some of that was donations specifically,
That's ours.
it is,
We had given them $25,000, they had done a match of about
okay.
12 to 15,000, and then they spent everything but this
I could say we could
I
use it
just
as a
wanna make
housekeeping,
sure it wasn't a donation of sorts.
housekeeping at the next town meeting. We
Yeah.
just move it
Yeah.
over.
I've made a note on my notes
Yeah.
for next year's warrants.
That would eliminate the capital reserve fund for that, and just put it into a general building fund.
Yeah.
That's that one.
I like that.
That'll be good. Okay. Next one, we're gonna make a motion to appoint Christopher Remlard to the Transportation Advisory Committee, TAC. And Dana said he would be the alternate on there and volunteered for an appointment, so Dana Lavoy will be the alternate on there. So we need to sign that appointment paperwork, I believe.
You have it with you?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we'll just fill in Dana's name, I left the alternate off, just until I'm certain.
I'll let you, do the signing on that, okay?
Yep.
Put his name. Dana Lavoie's, left a message here to the, select board, just saying he was gonna be traveling out of the country. I'm not gonna be specific on dates. And the next one there. So there was a, email from 4/11/25 from New Hampshire School Funding Fairness Project asking for support from the selectmen.
I'm not sure what they support, so I don't feel comfortable in making any recommendations here.
Yeah, and, I have a note here from Dana before he left, he put no, revenue not identified, I put no after reading it, the email earlier this week. So consensus from the board that we do not, support that for a signature. You gotta email that back to somebody, Lean, or?
Yep.
Okay. We have an email here from the Energy Committee, from Dana Lavoy, he's the chair, and he'd like to appoint George Hole and Anna Parascandola, term to be determined by town clerk.
And you guys had the appointment sheet
Yeah.
earlier.
So that was done already. And And then, we have an email here, we're gonna have some discussions in reference from Chief Rumlard, for compensation recruitment challenges. Looks like he's facing and trying to find full-time officers for our open position. So there'll be a non-public, on May first for that.
You should send that information back ahead of time so we can, be, informed.
Okay, and we have to sign off here on a firefighter EMS per diem job description. This is a job description we've already reviewed, and, we're just signing off on it with a selectman signature. The employee has already signed off on the first page, and Lean wants to attach this. What's today's date?
Today's the 17th.
17th already?
Yeah. That'll just be the
That's
town
your
office
signature on
official
that?
copy.
I'm gonna open it up for public comment.
Yep.
Leo?
Okay, Lee Martell, Penny Hill Road.
Okay, Lee doesn't have anything.
So, I had, listen, I had, conversations with, the cemetery trustees this week. We
Yeah.
brought one of the stones for that ramp over.
Good.
Justin was pretty good real good about bringing his crew here, we moved it. So while we were there, another trustee was there. It seems the Old Home Day Committee wants to use the hearse in the parade again this year.
How did they use it last time?
They never did.
Oh, okay.
But every year, as Justin said, every year they come looking for that, and they don't wanna lend it out. It's not, every year, we have the same argument, it's not for playing with, it's for people to come and see, you know? People, a small group of people worked really hard to restore that. That didn't even belong to the town, actually.
That's actually insured as an antique.
Exactly, that's what I keep
so-
trying to tell people, it's museum quality, okay? And so it's not meant to be put on a cart and brought here, because as I asked one of the members of the committee, so what happens if it rains? He said, well, we'll do it on a day it doesn't rain.
That's
said-
done for,
I
that's,
said, when is that? So then I said, then they talked about putting a tarp on it. I said, well, they're gonna have people climbing on it to put a tarp up there and everything, all right? So I guess what the committee, the cemetery trustees requested or kinda alluded to the fact that maybe you guys need to write up a policy for this, because every year they try to get it out on the road and it doesn't belong there. One committee member said, well, then why do we have it? I said, well, once the ramp is there, they can take it out and put it in front of the
For display.
building and people drive by. He said, well, big deal, nobody's gonna be in town. I said, there's gonna be a lot of traffic and they might wanna stop and look at it.
Yeah, on certain days, just like the day when we had the presentation down there, it was open to the public that
And,
day.
and actually Justin said, and so did, I think it's Mike Lassard,
Yep.
said, anytime anybody wants to see it, they call us, we open the doors, they can see it. He said, we never said no to anybody. So the point is, it is available to see right now. Unfortunately, it is in the locked building, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to pull it out on planks.
but when the new ramp there, it
Right, when the
facilitates it.
new ramp's there, they can pull that out and leave it right in the front. And the committee members said, well, what happens if it rains? I said, but they can roll it right back in.
Yeah,
So you need to devise write up some type of policy, so when they come to you, you can say, no, the policy says no. Because you're gonna get
what
this every
committee
year.
oversees that?
Excuse me?
What committee, is there any committee that oversees it other than the select board?
Well, the cemetery trustees, and they're in favor of not letting it out, letting it be used, you know?
It's
So-
town property.
It's town
My
property.
thought is they should make the policy and we should sign it.
They were a little ambivalent about all of that because they were like,
We'll have Wayne wanna work on one, Wayne.
they were
The thing is,
ambivalent
there's
because
so
they
many
said,
policies. hopefully
Mike
it doesn't
asked,
get lost.
so I don't even know who's responsible. I said, well, you guys are. They are responsible for this. Again, if you wanna see it, you call them, they show it to you, right? It makes sense that they would be the guys, that they'd be the charge of that thing.
Can I ask you something?
Oh, yeah, sure.
That Hearst house, you were involved with that. Isn't there a window with a plexiglass where you could
Yeah.
open it?
I
There is.
donated the big window, and they put a sliding door in front of it, so you can slide it over and look inside.
Yeah.
Why can't you leave it in there and open the door when you need to display it,
You
rather
can.
than pull it out?
Well, no, but on a good day, if it's gonna be a beautiful day and there's something going on, like as you said, you could pull it out, there's gonna be a ramp there, we're gonna have a nice ramp that goes out there.
But you are right, you can open that
Well,
on
of
a
course,
rainy day.
right,
Yeah.
and
The
I
window
did,
could be open.
I did mention it to the guys, the committee, that, you can go look at it anytime you want, the window
Well,
slides
then
open.
the policy should read that it's not allowed to be removed from the cemetery
Yeah, to the cemetery grounds.
grounds.
That's.
That would be the
that means-
policy, because if you're gonna
Number
pull it
one.
out and tell them that they can't have it in case it rains.
Unless approved by the select board.
Well, if you say elect, then the next thing you know, the next select board could say, yeah, let's take it out.
Yeah.
You really need
They
to be
can.
definite.
The next select board can override their.
And they can override the policy too.
Well, it's okay, but at least if you have that policy, they may not wish to override it, they might see it and say, yeah, okay, you're right. You understand?
I
You need
understand.
something in writing there.
I understand,
I'll look at
someone
the,
asked to actually use that
insurance.
for a funeral too?
Yeah, originally, a few years back, when we had, the other
Yes.
group on, they wanted to use it for a funeral. And I was here, we were in this room, and I said, you can't use that for a funeral, number one, they don't fit. Wow, what if they're cremated? I'm like, you can't take it out for funerals. I said, then everybody's gonna wanna use it all the time.
Any
And
town resident would have rights.
somebody mentioned that, well, we should just do it for the selectmen. I said, well, that doesn't make sense, cause they're no better than anybody else in town.
Yeah,
So,
we are.
no, you're not. Especially now you're not. It's a good thing you shaved, right? Nobody even knows you anymore.
I mean, you know, it's like going incognito.
You can't get in there, you'd wreck it.
We'll ever draft something, we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, because, you should, and like I said, they were in favor of that themselves because they don't feel like they are responsible for that, and I said they are. This was turned over to them a few
Well,
years back.
sometimes it's easier for the select board to say no to, cause instead of getting wishy-washy people,
Well,
the select board.
well,
really-
but the point is, if you have a policy,
Right.
it takes
It's
it
a
out of
starting point.
everybody's hands.
Right,
Right.
but if he's mentioning to pull it out during the day, that's kind of the same thing as what the old home day's doing, but it's 2-3 miles up the road. So by outlining,
Keep
you
it-
cannot leave.
Leave the
in
cemetery
That's my
cemetery.
point, you can stay on the, yeah, cemetery grounds,
I'll
that's
see
it.
what I can come
And
up
for
with.
special occasions, it can be removed from the building and put on display in the cemetery grounds.
Because
Only-
it's-
yep.
it is an antique and we're insuring it as an antique,
Right,
so.
exactly. And there's already damage to the wheels, which needs to be repaired. And one of the cemetery trustees told me, well, they did that on purpose to show you what they looked like. I said, no, they didn't. I was involved in all of that. That happened because there was a leak in the roof and the thing was sitting in this much water in the building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went in, I found out, cause nobody was going in there looking at it. So I had to put polyethylene over it to divert the
I
water.
remember that, and then you guys fixed the roof, right?
Yeah, and then the roof I fixed the roof and it still leaks, so then they put the metal roof on, and it doesn't leak anymore.
Well, congratulations, you ran us for a full half hour.
Good. This is the first time I get to.
I think it's a valid point to bring up. I think
Yeah.
we'll start with a draft.
Yeah, because again, a very small group of people, 4 people worked on this thing to really, and it wasn't, the town didn't even own that pile of, because it was really nothing to it when I saw it, I'm telling you. There's no floor in it, nothing.
So another thing too, if we develop this policy, the people overseeing it would have to be cemetery trustees.
Yeah.
They gate it off, and you wouldn't want something vandalized, you wouldn't want somebody to forget to put it away.
Right.
So they have to take some responsibility.
Right,
yes.
and that makes perfect sense anyways, because they have the keys, they're in charge of going to check in on it, so, and like I said, they're willing to go there and unlock the doors for people to see it, so they should just definitely be in charge.
You could put a note down the bottom that the policy should not be changed until without complete review of the cemetery trustees and the select board. That way, it's kind of well known around town.
Right.
You don't wanna get some separate board meeting with nobody around.
No, you're right, yeah,
You
of
know, at
course.
least this is a public meeting. and
You
it's-
said it earlier, checks and balances,
Yeah.
you know?
You have 2 committees looking at it. at
Right.
least.
Now, we want blessing from the cemetery committee that they were happy with this.
Yeah,
And
not only them, but then we, there's no changes to that policy unless both groups sign off
Concur
on the
with
change.
it.
Right, and they also mentioned that maybe a copy of that could be hung in hers house.
That's a good idea.
Put it right on a fancy window you donated.
Good recommendation, thank you.
All right, any other public comments,
No,
Leo?
thank you.
Okay, we're shutting it down to public comments, anything from the town administrator?
No, well,
Okay,
actually,
nothing from the town
just
administrator.
something real quick.
You guys, I'm trying to get this meeting done.
Past couple of meetings, we were considering, reviewing a, no parking policy, that's been,
We're waiting for them
we're
to
waiting
draft that,
until the
right?
full board is there, and then,
We'll not just have a full board, plus they're drafting something for us, right?
we already have it drafted. We sent it to you in an email, so I'll send it to you again.
Okay.
But, also the, public hearing is scheduled for May first, the same next meeting, for the road projects for 2025.
Now, I wanna make sure we remember that Jeff was here, and he commented that he thought that, putting signs up for compact cars was a little bit overdoing it.
Correct, so he will be here for the public hearing, he'll be here to talk about that, and then so will Chris. So Chris is planning on meeting with you, so
Okay,
I think all interested parties will be available to talk or comment, and the board can make
public
any
hearings in
decision.
2 weeks from today?
Yeah.
Okay, that's for the roads.
And that's all I have.
All right, we'll work on that meeting then.
I'd just like to name, Lean Camo as ex officio selectman, for next, all business days of next week.
Okay, so Lean Como will be, ex officio for Mike Kaminsky, since he'll be out of town for some days, to sign the
To whatever business
manifest
comes out.
Okay. Lean, this is our chance.
I'll run that by the treasurer, and I'm sure that'll be fine.
Okay. If it isn't for some reason, we'll, call me and we'll just name somebody else if need be, I'll get
Correct.
Leo to do it. Bring Leo in on his off week.
Just,
All right, that being said, I have nothing further, make a motion to adjourn at 7:30 even, all right.